right, welcome to the Batmandrew podcast. This is a special editorial version of our podcast today, specifically going over our top 10 games of all time. And it's not just me this time. You ain't going to have to hear my shitty opinion all by yourself. I have with me a special guest. I will let him introduce himself. Tell us who you are and where people can find you.
Hey everyone, my name is Adrian. Big fan of Andrew's content. Hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. As far as like where you can find me, I just started my own YouTube channel. It's very new. There's only one video on there, but if you want, you could find me under DADMAN. That's the name of the channel. Otherwise, you could follow me on TikTok at the real Adrian T. But for the most part, I'm trying to get my content going for that DADMAN YouTube channel.
I love it. And the one video you do have up, like, sold me. It's a spoiler-free review of Expedition 33. And I was a little bit on the fence on the game, not because it didn't look great, but because I have so much content to get through. And I was like, no, it's got to move to the top of my list. So check out the YouTube page, check out his channel. Phenomenal content. Can't wait to see what you got coming up next. But thank you again, man, for doing this with me. We both have a shared love of video games and kind of just the special place that they play in our hearts, and allowing us to be able to immerse ourselves in different worlds. And when I reached out to you and I said, hey, do you have a top 10 list? You sent it to me. Some great games on here, but some very diverse games. It's not like you're just a one type, JRPG type gamer or whatever. And I think that's going to make for some great conversations here, because I kind of feel like I'm the same way. I have a very broad scope of what I like. And so I can't wait to dive right on in. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to break it down from last to first, and we will kick it back and forth and kind of talk about those games. So, Adrian, number 10. What's number 10 for you on your list?
So I'm just going to preface this by saying my list is going to date me or age me. I'm pretty old when it comes to my gaming history, but I do like to keep it pretty varied. So my number 10 game of all time, or my favorite game of all time, like number 10 on my list, is Galaga. I don't know if you've played it. It's like a very old arcade game where you're like a little spaceship and you're shooting the aliens and stuff like that. I wasn't really a Pac-Man kid. Like Pac-Man, I respect it, but I was more gravitated towards like Galaga and like Dig Dug and those other like arcade games. But Galaga to me like is cemented as like my favorite arcade game of all time, because I accidentally found out that you can like get a second ship. Like if you shoot the right alien, it like sucks up your ship, and then if you get the ship back, you now have two ships. And you're just double the firepower. And to me, it was like a cheat code. So I just really love that game. I just the visuals, the sound, like the simplicity of it is just a really good. Just turn it on and just play a couple rounds, and then good to pass the time. But Galaga is like my number 10 favorite game of all time.
Man, I love Galaga. I remember playing it as a kid, on the arcade version of it. When I saw this on your list, man, this might be a dumb story to tell, but I'll share it with you. I remember playing this game when I was a kid. I was like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. We used to go to the laundromat, my family and I, to be able to do our clothes. And the lady who ran, like, she's very nice lady. I was even now I still remember her. But I don't know how she did it or got away with it. I just remember that like it was really expensive to play her arcade games, like even more so. And like I came from very little when I was growing up, so it wasn't my family just had money. Like, here, let's just pump out. Here's another dollar for you to keep playing. So my dad, who I can appreciate him now that I'm older, but at the time, like, he wasn't maybe necessarily the best dad. Him and his drinking buddies, when I was like 6, I used to draw terrible pictures of naked women, and sell them to his friends, who would give me dollars to play the arcade games when I would go to do laundry. And so when I saw that game, I was like, holy shit. Like, the memories that I have of that game, that like as a kid, and But what's even funnier about that is when my mom found out that that's what I was doing and how I was getting my dollars, I got my ass beat.
Oh
And
man.
so when I think of Galaga, I think of that experience, and so just the stupidity of a 6-year-old Andrew. But man, Galaga's a good game, man. I think it's definitely
I
on the
love it.
Mount. When you're talking about arcade games, it's on the Mount Rushmore of arcade games for sure. And I think that honestly, it's one of the very few arcade games that still hold up to this day. Like
Yeah.
you walk into any arcade, Galaga is there. Galaga and Pac-Man, to your point. So I think that's a solid number 10. So for me at number 10, I have Red Dead Redemption 2. Um,
Nice.
I have never played Red Dead Redemption. I've only played Red Dead Redemption 2 when I played it because I heard it was a prequel, and the graphics looked pretty good. And at the time, I was a general manager working at Mazio's, which is a pizza chain here in Oklahoma. And one of my delivery drivers was telling me about it, and so I was like, all right, I'll check it out, I'll play it, and instantly fell in love with the Arthur Morgan character, who's the main character of the game.
Mhm.
But what was exceptional about this game was that it wasn't just him that was a great. Like you have a lot of great games with where your main antagonist is a great character, main protagonist is a great character, but the ensemble is
Sure.
rarely ever there. This game, man, the ensemble was phenomenal. Like every character that they introduced in the game came with so much complexity, and it was the first time that I felt like, um, honestly, that Rockstar had made more than just a let's shoot up and blow up stuff type video game. It had a lot of heart and depth, and I've played through that several times, and I love Red Dead. So I know you had said you hadn't played it all the way through yet. What did you think of what you
Right.
have played?
So when I had my PlayStation, it was one of the like PlayStation Plus games that they had like in their catalog. So that was when I got to play it, and unfortunately for me, like I just got so sucked into all the side content that I didn't really do like any of the main story. But I love games like that, like the sandbox games. I love games like I think like those games are amazing. Like the day and night cycle, like the way time progresses in the game, like getting a haircut and shaving to me, like it seems like such a simple concept, but I love the fact that they've put so much detail and stuff like that. It's definitely a game I have to revisit because I have to play it all the way through. I've heard nothing but great things about it. Um, but I loved everything. I loved the traversal. I loved the adventuring. I loved the way the aiming and the shooting worked. Mounting the horse, all that, sending money back to the camp. I really loved how like the systems worked really well. It's just a game that I know I'm going to have to put time into it, so I haven't really tackled it just yet. My backlog is insane right now, so I'm just trying to catch up on a lot of different things.
Yeah, and to your point, that game has a lot to it, and it does have it does have a lot of side quests and those side missions that you can kind of go on, but I think that adds to the game. I will tell you, and no spoilers since you haven't finished it, but the third act of the game is quite frankly one of the most emotional third acts of any video game I think I've ever played. And if the third act didn't deliver as much as it did in this game, I don't know if I'd be on my top 10 list. But because it did, man, it just so so good. So yeah, there you go. Top 10. Those are our number 10 picks. Number 9, I'll go next, and I'll shoot it back over to you.
Sure.
At number 9 was Spider-Man for the PS4.
Great game. Great
Yeah,
game.
what it did to catapult and launch the superhero video game genre. Like obviously you had superhero video games prior to that, but this was a whole nother level. And when it has a special place in my heart because it hit me at a time where like I really needed to escape into a video game world. But aside from that, I got 10 minutes into this game and thought to myself, this is game of the year, like
Mhm.
hands down, just because it allowed you to be able to truly feel like you were Spider-Man swinging through New York City. The visuals, the mechanics of the game, and then the fact that it delivered with a really great storyline, and spoiler, for anybody who hasn't played this game, the fact that we off Aunt May in this game, um,
Yeah.
man, that hit because
Yeah.
it just like you you felt the maturity and the age of this Peter Parker. He wasn't just a brand new Spider-Man starting out or whatever, right? Like they did a really good job of immersing us in his world, and I didn't expect it when Aunt May died. I really didn't. And you know the I think it spoke to the character of Peter Parker in this video game how they chose to handle that moving forward the rest of the video game and going against the Mr. Negative, I think was his name or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which
Mr.
again
Negative.
was
Yep.
an original character for the game,
Yep.
which I thought that was a bold decision as well, and the fact that you got their version of the Sinister Six with it and everything, like this game delivered. Spider-Man 2 is a great game, but that first Spider-Man really kind of I don't know, it was just different. So what were your thoughts on it?
So I played Spider-Man PS4 a lot later in its life cycle. I didn't have it when it first came out, but I did play the game. And I, like you, I had the same impression. Like when I first played the game, I was like, now this is, not to, now this is pod racing. Now this is a really good superhero game. So obviously, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later. We all know what Rocksteady has done with the Arkham franchise and everything like that. Like that is the holy grail when it comes to superhero games. And Marvel has always kind of struggled with their games. The older X-Men games were decent. I really liked the Wolverine game. I thought that was a lot of fun, the older one. But this Spider-Man game that Insomniac made, like it felt like they took it serious. Like you could tell they were fans of the character. I still think Spider-Man PS4 is the best representation of Spider-Man, like in any form of media. Um, I'm more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy, but Spider-Man PS4 really like kind of made me not respect Spider-Man more, but like I understood like why everybody loves Spider-Man so much because he is relatable. Even though he is a superpowered being, he is relatable. And that decision at the end with the Aunt May thing, like it's that conundrum: save one to save 1,000, or save 5,000. Like it's Peter Peter Parker can't make the selfish decision. Like that's like his moral code, and it sucks that he always has to kind of like get the shit end of the stick, but that's what makes him a hero, I think.
Well, and I gotta say, man, like I know you understand this because you're a dad yourself. Not to take anything away from my wife or the mother of my child or the mother of your child, but like as dads, we feel that like we make those decisions every day where it's like it's not really about me anymore, right?
Right.
And I think that they did a good job of helping because they made this game for us. They didn't make this
Yes.
game for 16-year-old Jimmy sitting at home, playing video games. Like, yeah, he could play it, but man, this game had some deep tones. So I think it's a great game. So what do you got? What's your number 9?
So my number 9 favorite game of all time. The first video game console I ever had was the Sega Genesis, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the game that I put so many hours into. I'm a huge Sonic fan, even to this day. Like my kids love Sonic too, which is it's kind of awesome that he's been able to transcend so many generations. But something about that game, like the frustration of the platforming and like the music, and like I blame my anxiety on Sonic. Like when I'm drowning, like when you're drowning in Sonic, like I blame all my anxiety on that.
Yeah.
I always hear that song like in my head, like when stuff's going not so great. But I just loved it. I mean, at that time, like you had Sega Genesis and you had Super Nintendo. Those were like the two consoles that were really like fighting each other. And I didn't have Super Nintendo, so I guess I'm being a Sega fanboy here. But I really did enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog, and obviously we know the legacy that Sonic has. He's been around forever. He's had some great games. He's had some not so great games. His movies are great, which is awesome. But I really did love the speed of it and like the colors and the platforming. Like that's like the old school, roots of video games is platforming. And I think I'm looking at my list now, and like that's the only platformer I have on there. So I guess that's like my favorite platformer of all time is Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Man, it's a great game. Sonic is such an iconic character, and you look at the history with Sega and Nintendo, and when Sonic came out, like I think that to your point, like he's like he's so iconic. He's
Mhm.
generational, and my 4 or 5 year old kid right now knows who Sonic the Hedgehog is. Now he does prefer Mario, but that's
Sure.
fine. Like but I agree with you. I think Sonic is such a great character. And you and I have also a shared love of like video games with like Magic the Gathering and things like that. I just picked up the Secret Lair Sonic the
Oh,
Hedgehog
that's
Magic the
so
Gathering
cool.
cards.
So
Those
good.
those are great
So
cards,
good.
man. Like and so when you have a character like that, um, to your point again, the music in the gameplay of the Sonic franchise, but specifically Sonic the Hedgehog 2, it was even as a kid you could just tell it elevated everything from the original Sonic the Hedgehog, and not only with graphics but with the gameplay and with the honestly for such a pixelated game, the world building that they
Yeah.
did with Sonic. So that's a great pick. So what do you got for number 8?
So my number 8, it's probably like a little bit of a left field, but I'm a huge baseball fan. Baseball is my favorite sport. I grew up playing baseball. Um, I didn't want to pick like triple play baseball or like MLB The Show. But I have MLB Slugfest on here. MLB Slugfest is like the equivalent of like NFL Blitz or like NBA Street or like FIFA Street, like those types of games. Like so, MLB Slugfest is still a baseball game. You play the 9 innings, but it's very like cartoony, very animated. Like your players like catch fire and like you could punch people and make them lose the ball and steal a base. It's just a really fun, like mindless, fun game, but it just happens to be my favorite sport. Like, so I really, it's like my guilty pleasure. I love MLB Slugfest. MLB Slugfest Loaded to be specific, but any of them like for the PS2 were great. It was just a good time. Like I remember playing this game for hours with my cousin, like trying to unlock all like the special teams that you could get, and it has a really special place in my heart. That's like my number. Was that number 7? 10,
uh
number
Number
8.
8, yeah, number 8.
Yeah, that's my number 8 favorite game of all time, MLB Slugfest.
Yeah, I can appreciate. So I never played it, but I can appreciate the I guess the feel behind those, because I did play like Blitz when I was growing up and stuff like that. So I knew what MLB Slugfest was, but I'm not a huge baseball fan. I appreciate the game. I just never grew up really playing it. Baseball's not big here in Oklahoma, so it just wasn't something I grew up with. But I do love those kind of games. When I saw this one on the list, though, even though I'm not a huge baseball fan, my first thought was for current players was Bryce Harper, and I feel like if you remade this game, he
Oh
he would
man,
be he would be up there for the cover athlete for this game. Like
sure, absolutely.
I love his attitude, and I love the attitude that comes with the game. So I can appreciate that pick. At my number 8 is Arkham Knight. It's the from the Arkham
Nice.
series. So I know we'll talk about another Arkham game down the road on these lists, but for me, Arkham Knight. The reason why I had this one above any of the other ones was in large part because I love the Jason Todd storyline, and the fact that we were able to, you know, put this in a video game format and allow us to be able to play. Um, and then obviously it was the last of the Arkham games. So not that, and I'll tell you, even though it's my favorite, I don't know if I agree it's the best of the Arkham games, but I do appreciate it for what it did, bringing us the Red Hood, and or I guess not really the Red Hood, but bringing us what did they call him? Was it Arkham Knight?
They called him the Arkham Knight, but he
Yeah,
does have his arc where he becomes Red Hood in the
yeah.
game.
So I just think Jason Todd and that storyline and his surrounding his death and comics and stuff is some of the greatest storytelling for the Bat
Sure.
universe. And so I think you're a big Batman fan. I am too.
Hmm.
And those games are so rich in the gameplay and everything. But for me, when I was just thinking about this, that's what made it even more disappointing when the oh shoot, what did they call it, the Knights game, the Gotham Knights game
Oh,
came out,
Gotham Knights.
because I was like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go. Like I can't wait. And then that was just
Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't
So,
great.
but Arkham Knight's not my number 8. What are your thoughts about that game?
So Arkham Knight. So it's so funny because I love that game. Like I really did enjoy that game. I'm a huge Batman fan. Like Batman is my favorite um, fictional character. Like I love Batman. Maybe a little unhealthily sometimes. But I remember I pre-ordered that game. It was the last midnight release I ever did. Like I remember driving to get pick up my copy of Arkham Knight, and I had work the next morning, but I didn't care. Like I just went home and I played it, and it was such a good experience. Like it kind of like I don't think it's the best one in that Arkham verse. But for me, I think Rocksteady took the most risks with that game, which I appreciate. I enjoyed the Batmobile stuff. I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy it that much, but I did. Some of it was a little repetitive, but I did enjoy it. But Batman the animated series, like back in the day, like we talked about Spider-Man, but Batman the animated series to me is the best representation of Batman we've ever had in any form of media. Kevin Conroy, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. He is the greatest Batman ever. Like I hear his voice when I read the comics. Like that is my Batman. It's Kevin Conroy, and the fact that they brought him and like Mark Hamill and like a lot of the original voice actors to do this franchise. Like this franchise just has a huge place in my heart. But I did enjoy and the graphics still hold up, man. Like the graphics look great even today, even though that game's like 10 years old. Wow, yeah, it came
Yep.
15. Yeah, it's crazy, but it just still looks. I still play it like all the time. It still looks so good.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything, especially about Kevin Conroy. Like, so iconic, and the fact that he'll live forever in those games, voicing Batman. Like, I love it.
Yep.
So, all right, so I'm gonna move on to my number 7. One of the things that we've talked about already previous and some of the content we've created together, Final Fantasy X. And I will tell you, I actually talked about it today. I'm torn between what I believe is a better video game, Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy VII.
Oh,
And
okay.
but Final Fantasy X, man, it is such an emotional game for me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as in like, oh, it's sad whenever, at the end when Tidus has to go back, or like the emotional like you know story arcs of the game. I'm just talking about like today I got to I shit you not, I got to introduce my son to the opening rock song when that game opens, and
Oh
the
yeah.
arena's getting
They're
full
in
and
the
that rock
Blitzball
song starts
Stadium.
coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my kid is a rocker through and through, so he was
Nice.
like he's head banging in the back seat as we're driving, and um but as the music was playing, I was reliving that moment in my head, and I realized that although I do think Final Fantasy VII is probably the better story, I think Final Fantasy X is it's the one that I keep going back to. I think because of the music. I think the music of that game
Okay.
is really what ties the game together, especially Eunice theme. And I don't
Yeah.
know why, like it for some reason, man, that calms me. It soothes my soul to hear Eunice theme. It makes me emotional to hear Xanarkin's theme. Like everything about this game I absolutely love. And the
Mhm.
thing I love most about it, it is hard for me to go back in time and play old video games because with the graphics, like I want newer graphics.
Sure. Sure.
This game's 20 years old and it holds up
Oh yeah.
from a graphics standpoint. So Final Fantasy X definitely had to be on my list. What are your thoughts about the game?
Oh man, I could do a whole episode just about Final Fantasy X. I mean, at the time it came out, the graphical advances it had, the voice acting, like there's so many monumental things that game brought to the gaming landscape. And but for me, like I always go back to the stories, like what keeps me coming. And I honestly, I think Final Fantasy X of all like the turn-based Final Fantasies, I think to me it has the best combat system. I really love the conditional turn-based battle system that they have in that game because it's another layer of strategy. Um, and I really do like the being able to tag people out and like it's just on the fly. Like you could kind of do everything. Like if you need to bring your mage in, you could bring your mage in because Lulu has, strength against whatever element that it's there or whatever. If you need to switch a weapon in the middle of combat, you can. Everything takes your turn, but you could still do it. Like you don't have to like, oh, I just lost this fight because I had the wrong weapon equipped. You
Yeah.
could change it mid fight. So like I really like the intricacies of that battle system, and I would love to see Final Fantasy go back to that, but I guess that's a conversation for another day. But to me, like the story, I mean, it's such a great story. It's such a good like twist, like the whole like the Sixth Sense, like I see dead people twist, like it to me like you get so invested in Tidus because you're playing as Tidus, but he's not the main character of the
Yeah.
story. And then and then you fall in love with Yuna. Like I fell in
Yeah.
not with, like fell in love like oh my god I want to marry her, but like you fall in love with her story and like her vulnerability and her strength, and it's like I give them a lot of credit, like the developers, like especially like back in the day, it was a lot more rare to see female protagonists have so much weight and character development, and Yuna was that. Like she is one of the greatest Final Fantasy characters of all time. I don't think her sequel does her any justice, but yeah, it's. I could talk about this game for hours. It's just really great. The graphics are great. The story is great. The music is great. Everything about that game is great.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think Final Fantasy X too. I'm just going to pretend that it doesn't exist, and I hope for because I at some point I think most Final Fantasy games are going to get remade, and if Final Fantasy X, when it does get remade, and they decide to carry on, if they do a sequel to it, hopefully the play will be better than what I got with Final Fantasy X too. But I was with saying all of that, um, the I guess the vision behind what they wanted to do with Final Fantasy X two and Yuna's character, I can at least appreciate what they wanted to try to do. I thought it was poorly executed,
Hmm.
but it was nice to know that Yuna's story didn't just end with saving Spira, that
Right.
she learned to grow into her own person and be able to go live out like her own dreams. It just felt odd to me to be like, wait, Tidus is out there. Let me go be a rock star first, and then we'll figure out, what to do with him then. But whatever, it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So,
It is what it
all
is.
right, what do you got for your number 7?
My number 7 is Need for Speed Underground 2. There was a time in my life where I considered myself a car guy.
Okay.
And I blame the Fast and the Furious for this because when I watched that movie, I was just like blown away. And it was like right around that time, like Fast and the Furious came out, Need for Speed Underground was coming out, and all that. But I have Need for Speed Underground 2 over Need for Speed Underground the first one because it was like open world, like you basically drove through the open world map and the customizations. I like racing games. I grew up on Gran Turismo. Need for Speed. Forza is okay. I like Burnout, Ridge Racer. Pretty much, I've played so many racing games, but Need for Speed Underground 2, like it just does it for me. Like it's that world of street racing, customizing your car and just old school game. Like you had to beat the story to get unlocks. Like it's not like now where you just buy a pack and download
Yeah.
like it was an unlock system. And I think we need to go back to that because it rewards playing the game as opposed to like a battle pass or something. But yeah, Need for Speed Underground 2 for me, just I like racing games, and that to me is the racing game. Like if you like street racing, so that's on my list.
I never played it. I wasn't a Need for Speed guy. I did grow up playing Gran Turismo, so I do appreciate like the racing aspect of it. But Need for Speed wasn't something that really ever hit me. However, I did have a lot of friends that played it, and they played it a lot, and they loved the game, so I'm familiar with the game. But I do agree with you though that like video games need to go back to a world where we we unlock things and are rewarded for the gameplay versus whether or not we can just enter a credit card in or pay
Yeah.
for what it is that we want to unlock. Not on any of our lists, but I'm a big NBA 2K guy.
Okay.
And I swear, like, if you're wanting to do anything on that game, with the micro story mode, which I think is maybe one of the best things that ever happened to sports games,
Yeah.
is but I think if you want to do anything with that, you gotta pay to upgrade your player. And
Yep.
so when games continue to do this, like it's just so frustrating. Like give us the game you want to give us. Allow us to be able to enjoy it, play it. Don't give us the game and then a few months later be like, oh, but if you really want to enjoy it, unlock this for only
Mm,
$29.99. So I agree with you.
yeah.
But Need for Speed, I can definitely see how that would hit that mark, especially when if you grew up loving Fast and the Furious and street racing and stuff like that. So I like it. All right, what do you got for your number 6?
I don't think you did your number 7 yet.
Yeah, I did. It was Final Fantasy X.
Oh, okay, okay. I just want
Yeah.
to make sure. I want to
No,
make
you're
sure we
good.
skip
Yeah.
anything.
I
So
kind of
my
went,
number
man.
six.
I should have just went back and forth, but I was like, let me get creative on the fly. We'll do like
Yeah,
this
the
serpentine.
Serpentine
Yeah.
draft. That's fine.
So
That's fine. No problem at all. Um, so for me, my number 6, and this is where it starts getting a little more difficult for me, like trying to, number these and order these. Um, I don't think you can call yourself a gamer if you've never played Pokemon. So I had to have a Pokemon game on here. And my number 6 is Pokemon Soul Silver. So it was a remake of Gen 2 for the Nintendo DS. And if I'm not mistaken, like chronologically speaking, if I might be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver were the first Pokemon games to be remade, because you had Red, Blue, and then Yellow came out, and then you had Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and then you had Emerald, Sapphire, and Ruby, and then you had Fire Red and Leaf Green. So I guess maybe Fire Red and Leaf Green were the first remakes because they were Gen 1 remakes. But this was on the Nintendo DS, where everything else was Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color. So this was like a real step up, in the Pokemon franchise. Pokemon followed you when you were walking around the overworld and all that. Gen 2 is my favorite generation of Pokemon. Being able to do all of Johto and then go back and do all of Kanto and do their Elite Four. Like, I still think to this day, like, I don't know why they don't do more of that. Like, they just make one big world and you just go and travel each region. But there's a lot. Like, there's just so much behind Gen 2 of Pokemon. Like, Lugia is my favorite legendary Pokemon. Cyndaquil is my favorite starter. It's just, there's so much there. That they introduced the day and night cycle in Generation 2. They introduced, the dark typing in Generation 2 with Umbreon. Ghost, which is my favorite Pokemon type, got a lot of huge upgrades in Generation 2. And obviously, the quality of life, like physical special split and all that. Like, I don't want to be too nerdy with it, but for me, like Pokemon Soul Silver, like if I was to pick a Pokemon game, that would be my favorite Pokemon game of all time, is Pokemon Soul Silver.
man, I love Pokemon so much. I love the world and I love the lore behind Pokemon, which makes me like really want a very detailed, visually detailed like story type game. Something in the realm of like a Skyrim or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
but I agree with you. Like Pokemon, so iconic. Like, and if you're a gamer of any form of fashion, you've probably played a Pokemon game before. And I think that, yeah, like, for me, the only reason why, like, I was very late to Pokemon. I loved it when I was a kid, but I grew up with a really strong religious background, and so
Mm-hmm.
when everything came out of like Pokemon is satanic, it's the devil, like my mom was like,
Yeah.
nope, you're never playing it again. And I
Yeah.
was, so I was, when I finally got back into Pokemon, I was like 30 years old, and and I was like, "Screw you, mom! Like, no, you can't tell me what I can watch now, And I saw,
Yeah.
but I do. I love Pokemon. I play Pokemon Go on the regular. And actually, what gets me through, because almost every day, I walk about 3 or 4 miles a day just to try to get like a healthy workout every day. And which when you're walking that long, man, it's fucking boring. So
Yeah,
I've found some places to walk that have Pokestops along the way. So I play Pokemon Go pretty much
that's
every
awesome.
day. So yeah, I love Pokemon, man. So that's a great choice. At my number 6, I have Grand Theft Auto 5, and
Okay, yeah,
I love the Grand Theft Auto franchise. I think all of them have been fun and kind of growing up with that. But GTA 5, um, man, I think it's because and hopefully this doesn't say anything negative about me, but I love the Trevor character in GTA
Trevor's
5,
awesome.
and so but the world, the graphics behind it, like it just everything for me, like this game was phenomenal, and I think GTA 6 is going to be great too. Don't get me wrong, but um, when I've had a shitty day and I just want to decompress, GTA 5
Hmm.
is what I put on.
Sure.
It's my go to video game to kind of you know escape a little bit, and because you can go on there and there's no consequences, and you can just you can do anything you want to be able to do, and I think that it's in some ways can be a healthy thing about video games, and so
Sure.
but that's where I got. Are you a GTA fan?
Yeah, so I even played the older GTA's where it was like the top down view, which I hated that. But for like when GTA 3 came out for the PS2, I was like, okay, like this is legit. And then Vice City and San Andreas, I put so many hours into San Andreas, it's crazy. Um, GTA 5, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the three character like story, like swapping back and forth between the
Yeah.
characters. My favorite GTA is GTA 4. For some reason I just love GTA 4. I love Liberty City. I grew up on the East Coast, so New York to me is like home essentially. Um, so that's my favorite GTA. But my thing with GTA is it is a little like it's very adult, it's very
Yeah.
mature. It's not something I could show my kids or like, hey, play this game. So
Yeah.
like I as much as I enjoy playing a good GTA or like I liked Saints Row for a while too, but it's just not the same. Um, yeah, they're really fun, entertaining games. Like they're awesome and they're really good for decompression because, like you said, there's no consequences in a digital world like that, so you could just essentially do whatever you want. But I am a little bit of a goody two shoes. Like sometimes, like playing GTA, like I'll try not to run a red light or I'll try not to like hit a pedestrian. So actually, there's a game. If you like GTA, you should try LA Noir. It's made
Okay.
by Rockstar, but you play as a as a 1930s detective during like the Black Dahlia murder investigation in California.
Okay.
And it's the exact opposite of GTA. Like there's laws, you can't run a red light. Like you're a cop, so you got to do the
Yeah.
exact opposite of what you would do in GTA. That game is really underrated. I think that's a great game. Just a little honorable mention there, but I do like the GTA. I'm excited to see how GTA 6 runs on the equipment that we have, because that game is probably going to be insane. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I kind of worry about that a little bit too. I think we're gonna be setting ourselves up for a lot of bugs when GTA 6 comes out, and I think we're gonna have to, I think we're gonna have to be patient with the game. But I think it's gonna be phenomenal. I mean, the trailer obviously looks incredible. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. GTA 5, just outside of my top five. So now we're breaking into the real fandom, right? The top five favorite games of ours of all time. At number five for me, I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
Okay.
and I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I like the games. I do think that too often they're hit and miss, and I think it's because there are some games like Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Valhalla, where you can tell they took their time and really gave it thought and effort. And then you have Assassin's Creed games where it's like we just needed to put out another game. Here it
Yeah.
is, like it's copy and paste of the last one,
Yep.
and so they're very hit and miss with their content. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey, um, if you've never played the game or don't know anything about Odyssey itself, it surrounds the Spartan army. So like
Nice.
if you've ever seen 300, like you're a Spartan, you're born into that Spartan clan, and through typical story arcs, like you're an outcast and you're having to like kind of show yourself and earn your way in. But with the Assassin's Creed franchise, there's obviously the battle between the assassins and the Templars and stuff like that, right? But what this game did so well was it gave us, in my opinion, quite frankly, the most vast and full Assassin's Creed game that we've ever gotten. From everything from side quests to visuals to the open world, like there was so much there. Similar to what we talked about with Red Dead, the game is just never ending, but it allowed us to be able to play the game and never get fatigue from it. I never
Hmm.
played and felt like, oh man, like here we go again. I've got to, you know, I never found myself doing like a fast pass or whatever to fast travel or whatever to one area to another. I wanted to experience every inch of this game,
Nice.
and I think it's because like I played it through every time I played it through as Cassandra because it was also, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first Assassin's Creed game that gave us a choice to either play as a female or a male character. So you were
Okay.
either the sister or the brother. So I played as Cassandra, and man, that character is so good. And I think that what the game did a really good job is allowing you to be able to have choices, but still directing you down a storyline and a path that at the end of it just made you feel good about the gameplay and about the characters that you met. So, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that is my number fifth, breaks into my top five. Have you played it? What did you think about the game, or what do you think about Assassin's Creed in general?
So I never played Odyssey. I stopped playing after Assassin's Creed 3, which is Connor's story. Um, but I will say I enjoyed the shit out of the Assassin's Creed franchise up until that point. I really loved Altair's story, Desmond's story, the first story.
Yeah,
That was really intriguing to me. And then, of course, like when they did Ezio's story, like I was just like, okay, like this is awesome. Like Ezio is just so cool. Like he got what? He got 3 games, I think. Ezio got what?
yeah, uh,
Assassin's Creed 2, a spin-off of 2, and then he had a PSP game or something like that. Um, like his whole story was great. And then I really loved Assassin's Creed 3 because I'm a big history guy. Like history was my favorite subject in school. So I love playing these games that like were throughout historical time periods that I really enjoyed. And obviously the American Revolution, was obviously for obvious reasons was a great time period,
yeah,
especially for this country. So playing through that and like seeing like the ties of the Templars and the Assassins, and like I'm also a really big fan of, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie National Treasure.
oh yeah, I love
Um,
that movie.
I'm really big fan of those movies, and that all like kind of ties in together. I wanted to play Black Flag because it was like I still think it was his bloodline. Edward was his great grandfather or whatever. But it was one of the ones that I missed. And then after that, I started hearing like bad things about it from people who like really played the franchise heavily. So I never like jumped back in. Like I didn't play Odyssey, I didn't play Valhalla. So yeah, but up until Assassin's Creed 3, I really enjoyed that franchise, and it's something I'll probably revisit at some point. But like I said, my backlog is just crazy right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I think again going back to like you talked about Black Flag, like I had heard bad things about it too, and I will say that the whole like pirate thing or like the boats and stuff like that, I never really cared for. But I think that when Assassin's Creed hits, it's whenever it's running on all cylinders with its storyline and the world development and things like that. And when it's not, it's just because I feel like again it's just, well, let's copy and paste stuff from previous games so we can get a
Mm-hmm.
new game out and people will buy it and play it. And I think we're starting to see like that. Again, I think gamers are evolving and we're expecting more out of our video games, and that's
Hmm.
not working as well. Because Valhalla I thought was great, but the latest one that they had, oh shoot, it was Assassin's Creed. Was wasn't it was like it was almost felt like the knockoff version of Ghost of Tsushima. I just Shadows, Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Shadows.
I just you have a game like Ghost of Tsushima and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like I looked at it and I was like, no, this looks like just the shittier version of what I just played. Like I want
Right.
something different, you know. So,
Yeah.
all right, cool. So what do you have as your top five? What is
Oh
number five?
man. So number five for me, I'm a nerd, huge nerd, comics, anime, all that. So my favorite anime of all time, and I'm probably gonna get roasted for this, but my favorite anime of all time is Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball. It
Okay.
was my gateway into the anime world. Like without Dragon Ball, like none of the other animes would have ever been interesting to me. So I have a special place in my heart for Dragon Ball. So Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, which is the 2D fighter, is my number 5 favorite game of all time. You're gonna like in the Dragon Ball world, like you're gonna like certain circles will talk about like what's the best Dragon Ball game ever made, and it's either Budokai 3 or Budokai Tenkaichi 3. It just depends on which one you prefer. Like Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is like more of like the arena fighter, like third person fighter. Um, that game is great, but I prefer like the old school like 2D like Street Fighter or like Mortal Kombat or like Marvel versus Capcom, like that 2D fighting style, and that's
Yeah.
what Budokai 3 is. So, but it's just a Dragon Ball skin on a 2D fighter. Um, it's just it's just such a good game because it has a big roster. The story mode is good. Like you can get all the skills for all the characters, and it's just a good it's just a fun game. You know, I'm a fan of the franchise. So it's just it made sense for me to play it. And it's just like every Budokai, like they improved upon the last one. And this one was just really good. Like the art style was kind of like that cell shaded art style back in the day. So it looked really nice on like a PS2, because it didn't have like the best, like it didn't have to have the best graphics because it was an anime. So it kind of leaned into that. And that's how I prefer it. Like I don't need Dragon Ball to have ultra high realistic graphics. I need it to be an anime. And I put a lot of hours into that game. Like, you know, we used to have friends come over when it was couch co-op. You play against each other, like on the couch, order pizza. Like a lot of good Friday nights with that game. So that has a special place in my heart.
I love that, man. And so I would say this is my my I guess call to the fandom out there is that like just because you're not a fan of something or you don't understand it doesn't mean you got to shit on other people's stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, I know nothing about Dragon Ball Z. I don't know any of the characters. I've never watched it. Never played any of the games. I know very little. So my only input here for your number five game is I love that you love it, and
Yeah.
so um, I will say though that like I appreciate the artwork behind the Dragon Ball Z franchise. Like I think the art looks great. I've just never seen it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other than talking about like 2D fighter games like some of the ones that, because for me like iconically like Street Fighter is it. I know Mortal Kombat, like people like that is probably the most popular one, right? But
Hmm.
I do think that like for me Street Fighter I love about that, and I don't know, I see some, I might be totally off base, but just looking at it visually, like I see some crossover there between some of the characters and stuff. Like it just feels like you're kind of in that same world.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love that you love it. So that's all I can
Yeah.
contribute to that. So, what do you got for number four?
My number 4. This is where it started to get really tough, like really tough. Um, but like I created my list based off of how games impacted me, and my number 4 favorite game of all time is Halo 2. Halo 2, whew, back on the original Xbox, it was the first time online gaming for me was like a thing. Xbox Live I still think to this day, like even Xbox Live was just such a genius idea from Microsoft. It was $10 a month, and that's what it was to play online. Like that was it. It was just $10 a month to play online. Um, Obviously you had to have good internet, but this is back in the day when we're starting to get, you know, DSL. It's not dial up anymore. Like internet was starting to become a bigger thing, and the idea of playing Xbox with your friends through an internet connection, like I still like to this day, I'm like, how does that even work? But it did, and it was just like you got home from school and you popped on Halo 2, and like it was like the origin story of like online first person shooters, like the trash talking in the lobbies, like the clanning and like the gamer tags and like without Halo 2, like Call of Duty wouldn't be what it is. Like I honestly like I think that's the granddaddy of them all is Halo 2. Like it just I feel like that's what started the obsession with online shooters. Um I remember getting Halo 2 and like not even playing the campaign, just only playing online. Like I didn't even buy the game for the campaign. I just wanted to play online. And that connection with people and it sounds cheesy, but like the people that you play with online, when you play with them so often, they do become your friends, like they do become at that point in time, like you have an online community of friends. And like I was playing with people across the country and never even saw their faces, but I considered them my friends. So it was just a big, monumental game. And yeah, just at that time, like that's like where everything kind of started with the online gaming for me.
Yeah, I was a PlayStation guy growing up, so like I knew of Halo, but I never had played it. And I'm so bad at first person shooter games that I stay away from them. But I will tell you the if, at the end of the day, man, the fact that like Halo um, had me at times wishing that I had had an Xbox growing up just spoke to just how cool the game was. Like,
Yeah.
and Halo, whether it was the original Halo or your favorite Halo 2 or things like that, all the way to like, even though I know that I think the show may have got canceled right now at the moment, but like the Halo television series, I did watch that, and like I really enjoyed it, man. I think this world is vast, and I think people underappreciate the Halo franchise, especially if you're a
Mhm.
PS guy like me. But you don't get online gaming we have today without what Halo was able to bring to the
Yep.
table and what Xbox was able to bring to the table. So at that, just at minimum, you've got to have some respect to the Halo name, right? Like, and so I can certainly appreciate that. All right, so at my number four, this is probably going to be my most controversial pick. My number four is Final Fantasy VII,
Mm.
the remake, not the original.
Oh,
I love the
okay.
original. Don't get me wrong, I love the original. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is better. It just is. Like and you still get the story, you still get the essence of the characters and things like that. But for me, I hate reading. So the fact that I got to experience these characters without having to read all the dialogue, I wish it wasn't kind of that action combat hybrid turn based stuff. Like I love
Yeah.
true turn based, but okay, I can deal with that. But what it did for me was it allowed for those moments in the original PlayStation Final Fantasy VII game to come to life in a more magical way.
Sure.
So like Cloud falling through the chapel into the flowers with Aerith. It's a great scene in Final Fantasy VII in the original, but the visuals in this were so breathtaking.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a remake where it was like, let's stamp the name on it, let's upgrade some graphics, and we'll throw it out there. Man, they even now we're still waiting on any info for the third one of this. Um,
Hmm.
I don't feel like they're stretching out the Final Fantasy VII world just for the sake of stretching it out. I feel like the remake added to it. And for me, where I can really tell if a video game is hitting on all cylinders as far as like its broad scope and who it's trying to the demographic of people it's trying to get invested in is if my wife makes it must watch TV to watch me play games. And for Final Fantasy VII, she was there the entire way. She was like, "Are you playing? I want to sit there. I want to watch." Right.
That's
And
awesome.
I think that speaks to the just how well made the remake was. And so was it a perfect game? Probably not. Like I'm sure like I'm looking at it with rose colored glasses on, but I love that world. I love the characters, and I will say the most sickening thing that has ever taken place in any video game, in my opinion, was when Shinra decided to drop the plate. And this
Mm.
game did it so well. It just really did. Like I love the Final Fantasy VII remake. Again, no knock on the original. That's one of my favorite games of all time as well. But the remake, man, it was just so good. So what are your thoughts on it?
So when you say remake, you're talking about remake or rebirth or like them as a whole?
I'm talking about remake specifically. I liked
Remake
Rebirth as
specifically.
well. The problem with Rebirth was like similar to what I think we're gonna have with GTA 6 was the gameplay ended up being choppy because I think that there was too much of
Too much.
like you couldn't like even like just solely like the combat too. Like there was just too much for our PlayStation 5 to process in the game to make it run smooth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a technical nerd, so I don't know what that looks like from the hardware of the game and the system and stuff, but it just I think it had glitches in it that made it difficult for me to enjoy it. Not enjoy it. That's the wrong way to say it. I think it had glitches that made it obvious that there were system errors there that took me out of the game. Final Fantasy VII Remake, man, when you go to bomb that sector and you know the train and man, it's just so good. I remake is it. The whole story I'm sure is going to be good, but I'm talking about remake specifically.
So I remember. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VII. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Like it is great. I remember. I remember when I got remake. It was at a point in my life where we actually had just moved from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, which was a big move for us because my wife and I were born and raised in New Jersey. You know, my kids were born there, so coming to Pennsylvania was a little bit of actually a lot of bit of an adjustment. And we didn't really have our own place. We were living in with my in-laws to try to save money to get a new place. I had just started a new job, so you know, money was tight. So my wife, God bless her, she's a stay-at-home mom for such a long time. She just recently went back to work. She's a nurse. Shout out to you. Um, but I remember coming home one day, and it was right around my birthday because it released in February, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and she had got me the game, and it was on PS4 because I had it for PS4. And I remember just being so like emotional, like when I held the game in my hands, because never owned I never owned my own copy of the original Final Fantasy VII. I always like either borrowed it or I bought it digitally and like just had it in my library. I never had like the fat 4 disc book that these games came in. And I remember the cover art being an exact 1-to-1 of the original cover, but just with modern graphics. And I held it in my hand and I was like, this is actually happening. And it was just so, it was more special because my wife was the one who got it for me. Like, she didn't ask me if I wanted it. She just knew that it meant something to me and got it. So Remake has a special place in my heart as far as like what it means to me sentimentally. But to piggyback off what you were saying, like, I don't mind if these older games get remade because you want to see like the stuff that you enjoyed when you were younger brought into a more modern setting. Like,
Yeah.
I am dying for a Final Fantasy VIII remake. I'm dying for a Final Fantasy VIII remake. I'm dying for a Chrono Trigger remake. Like, I am dying for that because those games were just so good on the hardware, on the limited hardware that they were on originally. And if they're treated with the same love and respect that the Final Fantasy VII has been treated with, they could be just as good, if not better, than what we have now. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people a lot of people get mad because it's like, oh, it's just I'm paying $70 for the same game. You know, you're not. It's not the
No.
same game. It's not the same game. So it's just and you know what the solution to that is you don't have to buy it. So uh,
Exactly.
remake I really enjoyed remake. I enjoyed the linearity of it. I thought it was really good. Like I was really curious to see how they were going to handle like the open world that is Gaia, that is Final Fantasy VII. I was really curious to see how they were going to handle it. I thought they handled it beautifully, but I really liked the kind of claustrophobic style of remake. I really enjoyed it. Um, I'm also a turn-based purist, but I do like the combat that remake has too.
Yeah, I could go similar to what you talked about. You could go on for hours about Final Fantasy X. I could do the same for Final Fantasy VII remake. I love the game. Can't wait for the third to come out and see how this trilogy ends. So, speaking of trilogy, we are moving into our top three favorite video games of all time. Number three, I'm gonna kick us off. Horizon Zero Dawn. This
Nice.
game is so good in my opinion, and in large part because of this character right here hanging on the wall behind me, Aloy. Aloy
Hey,
is my favorite character of all time in any video game.
wow.
This character is not only so fierce and so brave in the game, but she does it with very real world sarcasticness, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I could be friends with Aloy. Because of her character type and her story arc and everything. Like she is such a great character. But at the end of the day, you're also talking about robot dinosaurs. And who
Mm.
wouldn't love robot dinosaurs? I think what is interesting about this game is that in a world that we live in currently, where AI is becoming larger and larger and larger, this game is a post-apocalyptic world where AI has not only taken over but said people can't be trusted and completely destroyed everything across the world, and we reverted back to like very tribal times. And this game did such a good job of making you feel like you were not only in a futuristic world, but you were also living like in Jurassic Park, and like it was just, I was blown away by this game. But to to just harp on it just a little bit more, the Aloy character, what she goes through, uh, you know, it is it is relatable because her as a child was disowned because of who she was and not having a mother and things like that. And it's like in the world we live in today, where too often we're quick to be able to banish people based off their color of their skin or their lifestyle choices or who they believe that they are and who they are when they're all that kind of stuff. Man, Aloy shows that you can overcome any of that. And so by far my favorite character of all time. I love Aloy. What are your
Nice.
thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn? Do you have any?
I've never played the game, and I don't know why I've never played it because I remember when it was first announced for the PS4. It was one of the games that I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a game that I buy," and I just never, things happen. You don't buy things. And then when I got my PS5, they had like this PlayStation Plus subscriber like special like thing where if you were a PlayStation Plus member and you got the PS5, like you were able to download some of like the PS4 greatest hits, and like Horizon was on there, Bloodborne was on there, Arkham Knight was on there, Last of Us was on there. There was like I think like 10 or 12 games that were on there, and I was like, awesome, I'll download this and I'll just play it. Never played it. It just sat in my back. It just sat in my library, sat in my backlog. And then Forbidden West came out, and I was like, damn, they brought a sequel to this game. I haven't even played the first one. But you know what? I haven't played so many games. Like I haven't played the God of Wars, like the newer ones. I haven't played those. Like there's so many games that I haven't been able to play because I know how I am. And if I'm going to sit down and play a game that I know is a story-based game or a story-driven game, I'm going to want to like fully immerse myself in that world. Like I'm going to want to put time in. I'm going to want to do everything. And a lot of these games sometimes take 30, 40, 50 hours to like
Yeah.
100%. So it's like a big commitment. It's in my backlog. It's on my list of games I have to play. The very little that I know about it, it's stunning. Like, it looks gorgeous. And I really like that post-apocalyptic barbaric feel to it as well. It gives me like Turok meets Tomb Raider vibes, and I really
Mm.
like that. Um, and I'm a sucker for a good female protagonist. I think we all are. So the fact that she's a very well like celebrated character is very special, I think, especially in today's world. And it's definitely something I look forward to playing eventually. But I'm glad that, like you said about Dragon Ball, I love that you love it. So
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think Halo is a great character, and I think the game is definitely worth taking a shot at. Forbidden West was good. Like, I didn't hate it, but it didn't hold up to the first one. It's still worth playing, but there's clearly going to be a third one to this series, and so I'd be interested to see where that goes. But top three, kick us off, man, with yours. What do you have it at third?
So my top three favorite game of all time is Guitar Hero 3.
Okay.
Again, my list is very just like monumental as to when the games came out at my point of at my life. And when Guitar Hero 3 came out, I was very heavily into music, into the whole band thing. I play guitar. So it was just like one of those things where you just kind of like your whole personality becomes that thing. So I have a very obsessive personality, and when it came to music, that was one of the things where I was just all about music 24/7. And it's funny because the first time I ever played Guitar Hero, like not 3, but just Guitar Hero in general, it was like in my friend's basement, and I was playing it like backwards because I'm left-handed, right? So when I was playing Guitar Hero with holding it with my left hand, the buttons are reversed on the screen. So like the green button, you read it from left to right, but on my guitar that I was holding because I'm left-handed, it was right to left. But I never knew that there was like a lefty flip mode
Mm.
where you could change it. So I guess I just played wrong the whole time, and my brain got used to seeing it. So when I got Guitar Hero 3, my buddy was like, "Oh, you should do lefty flip," and I couldn't do it. Like my brain was just not
Yeah.
registering the connection. I was just like, "Whatever, I'll just play it the way I want to play it." And like it's just a fun game. Like I love those rhythm games. Not Dance Dance Revolution. I have no like foot coordination at all, but hand-eye coordination I'm good with. But the songs were great. Like I'm a rock guy too. I like rock, classic rock, metal, all that stuff. It's like the set list was great. It was another game that was you have to beat the mission to unlock stuff. Yes, there was paid DLC, but it was like very simple paid DLC. You just paid for like a song. It wasn't like anything crazy. And it was just good. Like the controller was like modeled after a Gibson Les Paul. Like it was just Guitar Hero is just so good. Like I wish they would bring it back. There's rumors of it coming back actually, but um, yeah, it was just so good. Like Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force was on that game, and that was like the holy grail. Like everybody needed to like 100% that song. I never did. I got close, but never did it. But it was just a fun game. Your friends would come over. Like I said, couch co-op, pizza, Guitar Hero. It was a good Friday night. So yeah, Guitar Hero, number 3 favorite game of all time.
Man, Guitar Hero is so iconic, and who doesn't love the idea of being able to pretend like you're on stage and being able to play the guitar and rocking out and things like that. I mean, it and it also it's a shame that it's kind of gone away, but it I think it opened up a new genre of music for people that may not have been familiar with some of those songs and things like that. And I think that's it seems like you're a very big music person. I am too. Like that is a win, right? Anytime you can open up the door to new music for people and get people to experience things they hadn't done before. I think that's what it's all about. And I think with Guitar Hero, um, I just think that it allowed us to be able to immerse ourselves in a world physically. It wasn't just sitting at a controller and pushing buttons. Like you were actually
Yep.
standing up, you were playing, and things like that. I love it. I love it. I love the music from all the Guitar Hero video games. So I think that's a solid third pick there. So
Thank you, thank you.
um, all right, so go ahead. What do you got at number two?
Um, Number two for me is Batman Arkham City. Um, I love the entire Arkham franchise. I love Arkham Asylum, especially because it was the first one, and I platinumed that game. So I went through it. Especially the Riddler trophies were just so annoying. But I platinumed, Arkham Asylum. But Arkham City just took a really great first step and just blew it out of the water. Like it was just
Yeah.
I don't in recent memory, I can't think of a game where the sequel was so much better than the first one, than like Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Like I guess Assassin's Creed the Ezio story, like his second game was better than the first game, but it was close. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City is not close. It's kind of like the Nolan trilogy, right? Like Batman Begins is my favorite movie in that trilogy. But objectively speaking, The Dark Knight is a far superior movie, like to Batman Begins. Like it broke records, it won Oscars, it's in the pantheon of greatest comic book / superhero movies of all time. There's no argument there, and it's universally accepted that that is the holy grail, right?
Yeah.
So for me, Arkham City just built on what was already great. Asylum was short. It was very linear. It was very like go here, do this, do that, do this. But it was like the perfect little tease for what Arkham City was to be. And then you add in the voice acting, you add in like the animated series vibes. Paul Dini was a writer on the game. Like there's just everything just works for Arkham City. Like, I'm gushing about it, but it works. Like the characters are great. The villains in the selection of villains was great. The side quests were great. Um, I'm a sucker for a good bat suit, and my two favorite bat suits in Arkham City my first one is the Batman Beyond suit because it
Yeah.
was perfect. It was perfect. And then my second favorite one was the animated series suit. It does take you a little bit out of the world. Like the immersion is a little weird because it's a perfect 1-to-1 copy of the animated suit from the show, like with the cell shading and everything. But the fact that the developers like had the care to do that, it was just like there's so much that I could say about this game, but the story was great. Like everybody was on their A game. Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, the best the best voice acting duo like in history. Like they're just so good together, and anything that they touch is gold, in my opinion. But it was just so good. It was just a chef's kiss if I to make it simple. Like it was just that good, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, I'm in full agreement with you. I think even though we talked about Arkham Knight earlier being my on my top 10, I think Arkham City is a phenomenal game, and I think in large part because when you look at its rogue gallery of villains that it introduced us into that game, um, unless if you're like a comic book nerd or real fanboy of Batman, Hugo Strange isn't necessarily someone that the general audience is familiar with. And so when he gets introduced in this game, and you also have Ra's al Ghul and everything in the Joker, like um, what Spider-Man did with its you know Sinister Six, version of what they gave us in the PS4 Spider-Man, like Arkham City did it first. Like all
Mm-hmm.
these characters coming together, because you weren't in Arkham Asylum. Like that makes sense. There's a whole bunch of villains there because you're in literally the place where they're all held.
Uh-huh.
But Arkham City took us into Gotham, and it took us into Gotham. It allowed us to be able to see really truly like how vast that world is and that city is, and showed us why it needs Batman. But for me, like I'm not gonna lie, Harley Quinn did it for me for this game. Like I loved Harley Quinn in this game. I think that the Arkham City Harley Quinn is probably my favorite version of Harley Quinn that we've ever gotten. Um, and I think again, just it, Batman is, you know, because of his villains, right? Like I love Batman, but his villains make him who he is, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that this game really showcased that. So yeah, man, I agree with you. The jump from Arkham City to Arkham Asylum was such a huge significant jump, and I think that people, it's not just, oh, it's a much better game. No, like Arkham City gave us an open world video game that I think set the tone for other games to come, and not only
Absolutely.
just in its own franchise, but in other games. Horizon Zero Dawn, that's open world. Yeah, I get it. You're going to travel much further distances, but it you get with Arkham City, you don't get what you get with Horizon Zero Dawn, and the gameplay and the way that you're able to move from their versions of cities or their tribes without what Arkham City did, being able to go from section to section of Gotham. And honestly, the Riddler trophies, yeah, they're tedious, but when you have side quests like that can be so fun and can enrich the gameplay, like it it just makes it all the more better. So
Absolutely.
I love
Yep.
that number two pick. For me at number two, I have Uncharted 2. Uncharted's
Okay.
my favorite video game franchise of all time. I love Nathan Drake. I don't know if you're familiar with the Uncharted franchise or the
Yeah.
characters, but
Mm-hmm.
um, the Uncharted movie was fine. It was good. But the character of Nathan Drake to his core, like, is so good. And what made this game, for me, you had talked about that jump from first game to the second game. I feel like not at as much of a scope, but I feel like Uncharted 2 gave us a big jump from what the original Uncharted gave us, in large part because it introduced us to Chloe. And what the game decided to do was it decided to say, okay, after the first one, it would have been easy just for Elena and Nathan Drake to be together for the second one. But when it advanced time, it advanced their lives, and you saw this jump from Nathan Drake, who he was in the first one, to who he is in the second one, and you realize that like he's an idiot, like just like us
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, right? And his
Yep.
relationship with her didn't work, and now he's back with his ex, going on a new adventure, but then he runs into her, and like it just, I don't know, man, like it gave us a great video game while really tying us into who those characters were. And I get a kick out of playing it. I love all the Uncharted games, but Uncharted 2, um, it was the first time that I felt like a continuation of a game. Like it wasn't just like, here's game one, here's game two, but man, there was stories to be told in between those two games. Like I want to know what happened. Like why is he with Chloe now? Like why how did that kind of stuff? And so I don't know, just a great jump for me. Uncharted 2 is my number two pick. Have you played it? What are your thoughts about it?
I, so I know I played an Uncharted. I know I played two Uncharted games, but I can't remember. I can't remember which ones I played. So I know I played for a fact the one that was on the Vita, which I think was Golden Abyss. I
Yeah,
think it was called Uncharted Golden Abyss. I played that one and I really liked that one. But I
yeah.
can't remember which main one I played. I can't remember if it was one or two. What I do vaguely remember, I can't even I can't I'm probably wrong. There was like a point it was towards the end of the game. You're like in this cave and then there's like a creature in the cave. Like he finds like some creature.
Yeah,
Looks kind of
so
like an alien.
yeah, so with all the Uncharted games, there's always a supernatural element, like a
Okay.
supernatural kicker at the end of it. Um, and so with man, that I'm trying to think of which one because it wasn't Uncharted 2. I think that might have been the third one. And so because Uncharted 2, I don't know. I would have to look it up and see which one you're referring to.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always kind of a supernatural element to the Uncharted franchise, which um seemed in with Uncharted the original one seemed a little bit out of place for me. I was like, okay, like this whole world is very grounded, but then like all of a sudden, like um it took this like supernatural twist to it, and
Hmm. Hmm.
but I don't know. I started digging it the more and more I played the Uncharted franchise. I just love the characters, man. I love the character of Nathan Drake. If um, plug out to Nathan Fillion, he has an Uncharted short up on YouTube
I
that
saw it. It's
is
awesome.
so freaking good.
Yeah.
So all right, here we go. We are going to reveal our number one video games of all time. I will kick us off here. My number one favorite video game of all time, The Last of Us.
Hmm.
Um, Listen, I'm not breaking the mold here. I'm sure it's up on a lot of people's top video games of all time list. I will just tell you, um, I had never played a game in my life that I got so captivated in the storyline of. And starting out and I'm sorry, that's spoilers of anybody who doesn't know the story already of Last of Us, but you're 15 minutes into the game, and Sarah dies,
Yeah.
and your world is shook. Like the
Hmm.
fact that the game took you on such a journey in that first 15-20 minutes where it was like, no, we're not only going to show you the relationship between Joel and his daughter, you're going to play as his daughter. We're going to make you believe that this young girl is a vital part of the game, and then we're going to just rip her away from you.
Hmm.
And I remember sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, like what did I just play? Like,
Hmm.
and then you advance 20 years, and you see how much it's hardened Joel,
Hmm.
and who he is at this point. Um, and then you're introduced to Ellie, and there was not a more likable and unlikable character I've ever been around than Ellie. And because man, I firmly believe that all teenagers, especially young teenagers, are little assholes. I know
Hmm.
I was, and they did a great job of really showcasing that with Ellie, and they built this bond through the course of this game. And I think when you can have a video game that at the end of it has you questioning your own moral decisions and what you would do in certain situations, I think it just speaks to the level of attention to detail that they put into this game. And every time I go back and play it, I find things that are early on in the game that enrich the ending of the game that I'd never had noticed before. Um, but then to follow it up with The Last of Us Part Two, and the last of it, for my list, I'm talking about the first one specifically.
Hmm.
But everything about the first one was just enriched and enhanced by the second one.
Hmm.
Um, and it just, if you obviously don't know, spoilers again, but Joel dies very early on in the second one,
Yep.
and it makes you appreciate every single moment that you have with Joel throughout the course of the first one. And so,
Hmm.
um, I am I am very big on my stories. Like I don't want a lazy storyline.
Hmm.
I want characters that I can root for. I want characters that make an impact on me, and at the end of the day, not that it's a job of a video game to do this, but that makes me a better person, and this game did that. This game is not about zombies. It's not about a post-apocalyptic world. It's about a guy trying to figure out his way after the death of his daughter,
Hmm.
and that healing coming from such an unlikely place that he was never looking for. And I think at the end of the day, man, like the video game genre is better off because The Last of Us was made. So that is my spiel for it. What are your thoughts of The Last of Us?
So I haven't played the second one. I know what happens in the story of the second one. But I did play the first one. And The Last of Us, it actually has a pretty special place in my heart. It's not one of my favorite games. It is a great game, but my wife is not a gamer. Like, there's not a gamer bone in her body. But when the TV show for The Last of Us was announced, I wanted to replay the first game. And I asked her on a whim, like, I didn't think she was going to do it or not, but I was like, hey, I'm going to play The Last of Us before the show. Do you want to watch me play it so that you could be like, up to speed or whatever? And she's like, I was expecting her to say no, but she didn't. She was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. So to me, like, I know it sounds cheesy, but like me playing a game and having my wife like sit there and watch me play, like, it was just so special to me.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that interests her. But she ended up really liking the story, and we loved the first season of the show. I thought the first season of the show was perfect as in relation to the game.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I didn't finish the second season yet. I didn't really like the second season too much so far, but the first season I thought was perfect. And that opening 15 minutes where everything just goes to shit, and as a father watching Joel lose his daughter, I was just like, what the hell just happened? And then, yeah, I mean, you play these games and you kind of immerse yourself, or you put yourself in the character's shoes. So of course I'm a father, I have kids. What would I do if that happened? And it's just like, I like games that make it impossible for you to answer the questions that they ask. Like what happens at the end when Ellie's on the table and he barges in there and he just decides to, spoiler alert, murder everybody in that room. At the time, he is just doing that to save Ellie. He doesn't understand the consequences of his actions, and which is what creates Abby's character.
Yeah.
So it's just like this domino effect of sometimes the best decision is not always the right one. And it's the question of, do you sacrifice one life to save 1,000? Or it's a hard question to answer. And when these games have that human element, it makes them better, because it's like, okay, this is totally relatable. I don't know what decision I would make, but I can understand why he made the decision that he made.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great story. I mean, it's a great game. Last of Us is a great game for sure.
What I love the most about it though is I truly believe that Joel would do it all again, knowing the outcome to save Ellie. And
Absolutely.
I just, man, the storyline, what you get, and again, to your point, like the best decision isn't always the right decision, and like there's consequences to your actions, and we find that out in the second one, and um, again, I just love the fact that I think Joel would do it all over again, without a second thought. And so, all right, you're number one, man. Drop it on us. What do you got?
So before I get to my number one, I want to just real quick an honorable mention to Clair Obscure Expedition 33. If I know you haven't played it yet, please, when you get the chance, go play the game. You sound like you're just like me. You love rich stories and very well written narratives. Do yourself a favor and just go play it and take your time with it. It's definitely a slow burn. Don't like pound through it. But the reason I want to honorably mention this game is because it's slowly becoming one of my favorite games of all time. But I didn't have the heart to include it in my list because it's so new and it doesn't feel like, I don't know, like I think like all of these games that I have on my list are older games. So I just think I need to sit with it a little more, but it's definitely not only one of my favorite games of all time, but it's one of the greatest games I've ever played. So just a quick honorable mention. for Clair Obscure Expedition 33. But my number one favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VIII. Like, it's just, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Like, I know people like shit on the junction system, and like I understand like the time compression and the story is a little bit difficult to follow at times because like the third act just kind of comes out of nowhere. But to me, what makes Final Fantasy VIII my favorite game of all time is Squall as a character. Um, as a man in the society that we live in, we are programmed from a young age to be conditioned to believe that emotion or showing emotion is a weakness, and having uh, moments of vulnerability diminishes your status as a male or as an alpha male. Uh, when I play Final Fantasy VIII, that's what I get from Squall. He is that kind of guy. He's a teenage boy who's just thrust into this military academy, and all he knows is discipline and battle and training. And he doesn't. His childhood is literally ripped away from him. He isn't allowed to have those emotions. He doesn't have the time to be vulnerable. He doesn't have the time to let anybody in, which is why he's so closed off for like 75% of the game. And then it is a little cheesy because yeah, he meets a girl, he falls in love with the girl, she peels the layer of ice off of his heart. That's a very cliche story, but it is also a very true story that you can resonate with as a person. I was like that for a lot of my life. I was very closed off, very, oh, men don't cry and all this bullshit, like, toxic masculinity and all that. And then when I met my wife, she showed me that there's value and strength in emotion and vulnerability and understanding how to not only control them, but allow them to take space in your life because you can't be like an emotionless person. That's just not how things work. So for me, the story and the main character resonate with me, and all that other stuff is just fluff. Like the junction system, yeah, it's a little complicated, but once you figure out how to break it, it's so easy to do. Um, and the story is a little convoluted with the time compression and but to me, like the essence of Final Fantasy VIII is the hero's journey. It's Squall's journey from being this closed off emo teenager to this, dare I say, beautiful human being who's met the love of his life and finds value in the relationships that he's built throughout his journey and values those people. So it's just like, to me, like I don't want to get too like into it, but I keep finding myself going back and playing this game every so often. Like I'm replaying it right now, actually, and it's just I understand that character because I was like that. So it's that's my favorite game of all time, just because it holds so much emotional weight in me as a person.
Listen, Final Fantasy VIII is a great game, and I agree with you. It is in large part because of the Squall character. I think that he's relatable. I think that at the end of the day, like it shows when you open yourself up, when you do find someone who you will allow to make an impact on you, how it can change your entire world. And when you talk about some of the leading ladies in the Final Fantasy universe, like your list doesn't get very long before you start talking about how impactful Renoa is. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that that just shows like because I'm the same way, man. Like my wife, like I was a totally different guy before I met my wife than who I am now, and like I still mess up, I still make poor decisions, I still wrestle with some of those typical tropes that we're taught to be like, as males in society. But man, she's been so patient with me, and I would fear the person I would be without her. And I think when you look at Squall, man, that you are 100% right. Like, his individual story arc. Out of all like the guys that you could play in the Final Fantasy universe, I think he has the best personal growth story
Mhm.
arc of any character. Um, but talking about the gameplay and some of the things that you get, like I remember playing this game for the first time. The opening scene, you got the feather dropping down. Then you all of a sudden you have the beach, or excuse me, you have the beach first, and then the feather dropping down, then his sword, and the first time you get introduced to a gun blade, and all of
Mhm.
that was so cool. And then like he gets the scar across his face. I remember, man, like just thinking to myself, like, wouldn't it be cool just to have that scar? Like it would be so awesome, right? Um, and then you go into what was it called? It wasn't Besaid Garden. It was
Balam.
yeah, Bell. And you realize that, like, oh shit, like he's in school. Like this
Yep.
is this is where I'm at in life, right? And then you go on that first little quest, and you get your Ifrit. Ifrit, is that how you pronounce his name? What does that not sound right?
If free, it
Yeah,
depends on how you
but
want to say it.
but yeah, so and it just some of the mechanics of the game, yeah, I agree, are a little wonky, like the junction system. I don't really care for triple triad. It is what
Oh
it is.
man, triple try is so good.
I I I'll take a pass on that, but I will tell you, like, I think that the gameplay, um, the storyline, the cut scenes, man. Even though the graphics don't hold up as well as Final Fantasy X,
Oh yeah.
the cut scene where he dances with Renoa for the first time and stuff, it was just so good,
Hmm.
just so good. And so, man, Final Fantasy VIII did not make my top list, but I can certainly see why it would be on yours or anybody else's. It's such a great game, and to your point that you mentioned earlier in this episode, we need a remake of Final Fantasy VIII.
I think so, man. Like I keep like I don't know if you know Ben Starr. Ben Starr is the voice actor from Final Fantasy 16. He played Clive. He's also in Clair Obscur. He's also in the Tactics remake. He's a big Final Fantasy 8 fan. And whenever he's interviewed, they always ask him, like, do you think the game needs to be remade? And he always says that he doesn't think it needs to be remade. And I understand why. Like, for a pure, like, does the game need to be remade? No, it doesn't need to be remade because I still think like the gameplay, I still think the gameplay holds up. Like I still think like if you take graphics and having to read the text out of it, I think the gameplay itself holds up. However, I don't want it remade because I think it needs to be remade. I want it remade because the advancement of the voice acting, it just breathes new life into these characters. Like with
Yeah,
Final Fantasy VII remake, like hearing these characters speak is such a huge like gain for the franchise. Like, yeah, you have to internalize all the dialogue when you're reading it on the screen, but if you're hearing the emotion behind the voice, the tonation of how they pronunciate things, like that's a whole nother layer. And for me personally, I think Final Fantasy VIII's biggest criticism is its confusing story because you have to read it and
yeah,
then understand it and then dissect it and then spit it back out. But if it's being told to you through voice acting, it's probably easier to understand. So I don't think it need, dude, they could remake the game and just they could just literally remake it the way it is. Like they change nothing about it except update the visuals and do voice acting, and I would be totally fine with it.
yeah,
Like I don't want a Final Fantasy VIII with the Final Fantasy VII combat. I don't want that. Like I want the traditional turn-based stuff. Like, yeah, you have to change the junction system a little bit because it is a little weird, but I think I don't think it's going to happen because I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. But I mean, Sandfall Entertainment, the makers of Clear Obscure Expedition 33, did have a meeting with Square Enix. The guy who the lead developer of Clear Obscure is a huge Final Fantasy VIII fan. Maybe Square is like, hey, we can't make it, but maybe you can make it for us. Like, I'd be okay with that. I don't know. I'm gonna hold out and hope that on its 30th anniversary it gets some love because it is the redheaded stepchild of the Final Fantasy franchise, unfortunately.
Well, and I will make an argument for why it should be remade, and exactly what you just said is because it's not one of the most beloved. It's not, I think you could breathe new life into it, to your point. Um, and I think that if you did, and it was a hit, um, the amount of money that
No.
you could make off of this franchise and this game, um, because there are some great iconic characters in there. Like I think that it opens itself up um, for really cool merch and stuff like that, especially with the school aspect of it and that kind of stuff. So, for me, with my retail background, like I think of like, hey, like how can you make money aside from just selling the game? And yeah, I think a great remake of Final Fantasy VIII opens up the game to people who may have never played it before, or who've played it and it wasn't for them, because it's not going to be the same game. It's going to be
No.
almost a completely different experience because of what you're able to add to it. And I think it's prime for it. Um, but even if it doesn't, man, Final Fantasy VIII, like if you haven't played it, I definitely would encourage you, if you're watching this, go play it. It's not as tough of a play as you would think, like being able to,
Mhm.
to have to read the dialogue and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. But this world is so vast and it's so open and there's so much to experience here. It's definitely worth the gameplay. So, man, let me thank you again for being on here. I appreciate it. It's just so fun to be able to talk about video games, and like what I really want from these editorial videos that I'm doing, man, is just to really feel like people are just sitting around, having to your point, with the sofa co-op stuff, like just enjoy hanging out, man. Enjoy hanging out and talking about what we love and the fandom and everything. So, to that point, if you're watching this, drop in the comments. Let us know what your top 10 favorite video games of all time are. We'd love to be able to hear from you. And maybe you're going to put something on our radar that we've never played before, and I'd love to be able to
Yeah.
have that. So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
um, but thanks again, man, and thank you everyone who's watching. You can catch us again the same time on the same Batmandrew time at the same Batmandrew channel. Thank you, guys.